Welcome back, guys, to another video. Today I wanted to talk about my 10 favorite games on the Super Nintendo and how much they meant to me. I didn't get the Super Nintendo on launch when I was a kid, but my grandmother did gift it to me, I think like a year or two after the Super Nintendo did launch. Every kid back in the 90s, early 90s wanted a Super Nintendo. And I have a lot of nostalgic memories about a lot of the games, and I wanted to share a few of those with you today. And then there's no particular order, and there are some that are my favorite games, but we're gonna go over 10 of them that I chose that I thought were the most nostalgic for me growing up as a kid and meant the most to me. And then some sort of like newer games that I have played that I didn't play when I was growing up that also have become near and dear to my heart. So without further ado, guys, let's get into these games. Alright guys, first up we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time. One of my absolute favorite games on the Super Nintendo. When I was a kid, I remember going to my local Kmart in California and looking up in the game case and picking this game out. And I took it home, unwrapped it, and popped it in my Super Nintendo, and I just played it the rest of the day. And this is one of my all-time favorite games on the Super Nintendo. And the way that they ported this game from the arcade is almost arcade perfect on the Super Nintendo. They came out with a Sega Genesis version, and that was it was okay. I thought that was a great game too, but out of the two, this is my very favorite of the Turtles back then. And the color palette on the Super Nintendo, all these colors on this game absolutely pop. And I love all the mechanics of the game. How you can throw the foot soldiers into the screen and bash them side to side. And I love how right here you can get zapped by Krang and get electrocuted. It just looks so cool. This game has stood the test of time. Here we are playing it 30 some years later on the Cowabunga collection, and it came out on pretty much every platform that's available right now. So Turtles in Time is just an all-time classic Super Nintendo game, and most people that grew up back then, I think that this was, they made so many copies of this, so I think a lot of people owned and enjoyed this game, and it shows how, because they brought this game back, and it still has popularity now, but yeah, this is definitely up there, if not my favorite Super Nintendo game. It's like number one, or like within the top 5 at least. I have sunk so many hours, like I said, into this game. All right, guys, next up is Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball. This is one of my all-time favorite games on the Super Nintendo. And I've had so much fun over the years replaying this and going back to it. And I don't remember exactly when I got it, but I remember one of my fondest memories of this game is I moved to Atlanta, Georgia from California, and my buddy came over to my house and to stay for a couple of weeks, and that's all we did was play seasons on this game. And the seasons are actually pretty long, and we completed seasons and stuff, and we got really, really good at this game. And learning to pitch to the computer on this game is pretty difficult when you first start out, because I just played today and they were schooling me super fast. If you can see that in this gameplay. So, I remember, that the original version of this cartridge, when you bought it in the box, you could actually get a Ken Griffey Jr. card, and I've looked them up on eBay, and they're not too expensive. But yeah, it's pretty cool that they put in an actual baseball card. But Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball. The way that this game plays, they plays super well. Highly recommended. All right, guys, next up is Street Fighter II, The World Warrior. there's just so much to say about Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo. So this game was just, it's just so nostalgic, man. I have a memory when I was in playing baseball, Little League when I was a kid, and they actually had a giveaway with Street Fighter included, a brand new Super Nintendo. And I didn't win it, of course, but I just had like this imaginary like dream of winning it. And then my second memory of this game is when I got it. And I got it from my friend on the bus. I asked him to borrow it. And so he let me borrow it. And then I was going to return it like a month later. And he told me I could keep it. And I was so excited because my parents did not support fighting games when I was a kid. So I would be able to play. I would only play this and sneak it and hide it, and play it when they weren't looking. So yeah, that was a little bit of a challenge, but I got away with it all these years later. And so anyways, Street Fighter 2, the job that Capcom did on this game is, like they couldn't have ported it better, and the color palette and everything is just so good in this game on the Super Nintendo, and the gameplay is just excellent. This game is highly recommended. I highly recommend this game for sure. And all the special moves that they incorporated, all the combinations, were just brilliant in my opinion. So, but yeah, I mean, and I think everyone else will agree how brilliant this game is with all the combos and stuff and everything. This game has stood the test of time, and they've just released it in so many different ways. This game is just great. All right, guys. Next up, we got Mortal Kombat 2. Man, oh man, Mortal Kombat 2. One of the greatest games to me of my childhood. I absolutely love Mortal Kombat 2. I'd always choose Liu Kang, and I just love doing his bicycle kick, and his across the screen kick, a flying jump kick, and his flame and his flames that he would throw. So in my house, this game definitely wasn't coming into my house when I was a kid. So I never actually owned this as a kid. I would play it at my friend's house. So I never owned these games till I was an adult. But the way that the Nintendo ported this game, the color palette in this game, the gameplay, it's not arcade perfect, but man, oh man, this game is just so nostalgic for me. I remember watching this game being played in the arcades when I was a kid. I wasn't allowed to play it, but I remember watching it and just enjoying and watching other people play it. And I also remember when Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 came out, and I just thought the way that cabinet looked, it was so awesome. The way that they had the lightning and everything on the cabinet, and the way that Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 cabinet looked, it looks so awesome. Anyways, Mortal Kombat 2, I remember that my uncle actually had it on Sega Genesis when I was a kid, and I was watching him play it when I was a kid. And yeah, this game is just so highly recommended, man. Next up, we have Mario Kart, the original Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. I don't remember where I got this game when I was a kid. I'm sure my parents took me to get it, but man, this game, I played so much Mario Kart when I was a kid. I had so much fun with my friends in the battle mode. And I always felt like the Koopa Troopa here was the fastest in the kart for me, at least, and then maybe Toad after that. But this game was pure genius by Nintendo, man. And it's the Mario Kart franchise has just stood the test of time, man, for sure. And they just keep making Mario Karts, man. The new Mario Kart coming out on the Switch 2 looks amazing. The way the graphics look and stuff, I'm super excited for I think it was going to be Mario Kart 9. But yeah, so the original Mario Kart, man, it was just, like I said, pure genius, man. This thing, the way that this game played, and the way you could shoot your enemies, and the little your little power-ups. Then if you rev your engine, you can get like a little like turbo boost, but yeah, and then all the levels that they did, like I remember when the first time I played Rainbow Road on here, and Rainbow Road was just amazing on the Super Nintendo. It was so cool, man. And then the Ghost House level and stuff and everything. I'd always get pissed off on the Ghost House level when I'd fall like through the gaps or whatever. I didn't make one of the jumps on the ghost house level. But yeah, this game I have so many great memories and had so much fun with as a kid. And Nintendo just totally hit it out of the park. This one is just a great game as well. All right, guys. Next up is Final Fight 2. And this is actually the Super Famicom version. There really isn't a difference between the Super Famicom or the American version. But I didn't play this game growing up as a kid. I played the original Final Fight. But, Final Fight is just one of those games that everybody loves that came out on the Super Nintendo. It was such a great port from the arcade. And, the main complaint on Final Fight, the original, was that you didn't have two-player co-op. You could only play one player on the screen. And this version fixed that. And, also they came out with Final Fight Guy, which also fixed the original Final Fight, so you could have two characters at the same time playing. The American version is very, very expensive for Final Fight Guy, but the Japanese version of Final Fight Guy will only run you about $20 instead of $300 or $400. Final Fight, I've enjoyed this game, this franchise over the years so much, and each iteration that they did to Final Fight just got better and better. And this version of Final Fight, the second one, is definitely an upgrade from the first one. And the graphics, the gameplay, and everything, they just kicked everything up a notch. And Final Fight is I definitely highly recommend Final Fight on the Super Nintendo. And if you want to take it a step further, Final Fight on the Sega CD is definitely a significant upgrade to Final Fight with the CD audio. It's almost a 1-to-1 port from the arcade on the Sega CD. But yeah, Capcom and their development team definitely did well on this one. Next up is Super Mario RPG. I absolutely love Super Mario RPG. It definitely was a milestone for Nintendo on the Super Nintendo. And I remember going and mowing lawns and washing cars for my neighbor and saving up my money for a couple of months to buy this game. And if I'm not mistaken, when this game came out, it was a little bit more expensive than a regular Super Nintendo game. I think it was around like $80 when it came out. And when I finally got this game and I brought it home, it did not disappoint. And all I did for probably about 2 or 3 weeks when I had the time to play my Super Nintendo as a kid is all I did was sit down and just get engrossed in this game and just play it all day long. And anytime my buddy next door down the street from me also had this game, and if I had he was better at Super Nintendo games, and if I would give him a call and I would say, hey man, how do I get past this part? What do I do? And he would always help me out. So I don't ever remember if I actually finished this game. I think I did as a kid, but I'm not quite sure. But this game, I got every penny's worth out of this game. And this game has stood the test of time. They just made the remake. And yeah, so Super Mario RPG just is an awesome game. And I think that, lots of generations of kids are going to, get enjoyment and play this game as well. And they already are out of the new one that came out. So one of the things that I do want to get, man, is the strategy guide for this game. I always thought that was super cool, but those are going for like $100 right now. But I can't recommend Super Mario RPG enough. If you don't have this game, get it on the Switch, or if you want to get really nostalgic, get it on the Super Nintendo. Or you can get it on the Wii U. Well, not anymore. You can't get it on the Wii U Virtual Shop. The Wii U is closed down. But anyways, yeah, so I just can't say enough good things about Super Mario RPG. But yeah, so if you're thinking about it, don't think about it, just get it. Next up is Sonic Wing, also known as Air Fighters in America. This is the Super Famicom version of Aero Fighters. So yeah, This game is absolutely awesome. They've made several games in this franchise. I mean, I think there's like a handful. There's like 4 or 5, 6. I don't know exactly how many, but this is the very first one, and they just knocked it out of the park on Super Nintendo with this game. I love shmups, and this game is definitely up there on the Super Nintendo as far as shmups go. This game does run a little bit slower, I think, than the actual arcade version. There's a little bit of slowdown here and there, but overall, the gameplay is really smooth. And I did not play this game growing up as a kid. I didn't really know anything about this, never heard of it. I just recently got this maybe like 6 months ago or so, maybe a year ago, maybe the beginning of 2024. And I really wanted a copy for like 2 or 3 years, you know. So, I mean, even the Super Famicom version is no slouch. I mean, it's still a $70, you know, a $70 game. So, and it's held that value over time, the retail value of the actual game, which is really, really awesome. So, the power-ups are great. The gameplay is great. You know, if you love shoot-'em-ups, this game is definitely a must on the Super Nintendo. So yeah, I mean, I put a fair amount of time into this, but it's definitely challenging. This game definitely does challenge you, and you will definitely have to put some time into, you know, getting the memorization down for how all the computer, you know, shoots all those missiles and, you know, bombs and stuff at you. But yeah, I just absolutely love Aero Fighters, and I can't recommend Aero Fighters enough. Alright guys, next up is Super Metroid, and I did not play this game growing up as a kid, but man, oh man, did I miss out as a kid. This game is definitely one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. I absolutely love Super Metroid, and the first time I played this, I was absolutely blown away by the graphics and textures of this Super Nintendo game. And here I am fighting Crocomire, and you know, so this boss, if you don't know how to beat him, he can be really, really, you know, irritating, and you just have to keep shooting him in the same spot repeatedly, you know, without making any mistakes there, and he'll fall off the cliff into the lava. But like, it would have been cool if they actually made a sequel on the Super Nintendo to see, you know, but they did for the game. They basically did. Because they made the games for the Game Boy Advance, and I kind of feel like, you know, those were the sequels that the Super Nintendo didn't get. But this game, I mean, I don't know, you know, it stands the test of time. You know, it really does. This is such a great game, and you know, this is a milestone here. Also, like Super Mario RPG, definitely a milestone for Nintendo. This is just one of those classic games that will just keep on giving for years and years. You know. And it has. I mean, it's given us 30 years, and people still love this game. And you know, the price shows too. The price on this game has definitely gone up. All right, guys. Next up is Donkey Kong 2: Diddy's Conquest. And this, to me, out of the 3 games in the entry, the second one is the best one. The platforming and stuff is just spot on. It's spot on in all the games, but I just feel like it's just a little bit better in this game. And I think this is my favorite of all the Donkey Kong games on the Super Nintendo. And Rare just gave Sega a run for their money at the time. I think Sega was in a panic. That's why they created Vector Man. And, you know, but this didn't even compare to Vector Man. Vector Man was cool, but Donkey Kong was just revolutionary at the time for Nintendo, like a lot of the other games we spoke about today. This definitely is up there. And the best of the best for Super Nintendo. And I didn't personally play this one growing up as a kid. I didn't own a copy of this, but I definitely played it like at a friend's house or whatever, you know, for sure. I remember playing actually Donkey Kong on the Super Nintendo kiosk back in the day when it very first came out, and I was blown away by what Rare did with these graphics. And you know how could they make something look like this on the Super Nintendo? You know, how are they doing this? You know, this was just such a beautiful, well done, you know, game, you know, and you can show that they really took their time, you know, building and creating this game. And
it's just really the Donkey Kong series is just unique and one of a kind. And it, for the older people or the younger people out there, if you've never played this, you got to go out and play Donkey Kong on the Super.
So that's my 10 favorite Super Nintendo games. Let me know what you guys think about the games that I picked out down in the comments, and let me know what your favorite Super Nintendo games are, and the ones that you grew up with, and the ones that you got, when you were growing up. So yeah, I just love the Super Nintendo, and I think it's been hard for me to think about what's my favorite console of all time, and I think the Super Nintendo, I never had a regular NES, so the Super Nintendo has to be my favorite gaming console of all time. It just has to be, and I just resonated with it so much, and I can't praise the Super Nintendo enough and say enough good things about it. It's just it was just a wonderful thing and a wonderful time back in the 90s when that happened, and those memories will never leave my mind, and I will always remember the Super Nintendo for the rest of my life. I'm sure of it. Thank you guys for coming with me on this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I will catch you guys on the next one.